Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, first tonight, after 120 days, Tasmania's COVID-free status is over, following 3 new cases in hotel quarantine. For more, we're joined by reporter Sean McComish, who was at the Best Western Hotel in Hobart. Good evening, Sean. Now, does this pose any risk to the wider community?
Oh, good evening, Kim. Well, many Tasmanians would be worried tonight, but the Premier has bluntly said that the virus is not in the community. Now, earlier today, 3 members of the one family were taken from the hotel here behind me and are now at the Royal Hobart Hospital. But authorities now face the tough task of reassuring the community there won't be another outbreak. We'd been warned the day would come again.
The fact that we have COVID cases should not surprise you. We have been clear in that bringing back Mercy flights that there was a chance that this would occur.
On Sunday, 118 Australians landed in Hobart from India. Among them, a woman in her 30s and her 2 young children. All 3 have tested positive for COVID-19 in hotel quarantine.
This is no risk to everyday Tasmanians. These people are being managed in quarantine.
The family is now in the Royal Hobart Hospital. Authorities may move them to the Fountain side, set aside for COVID-positive patients.
It is the best place from a safety and risk management point of view to be managing COVID-positive individuals.
Passengers had been tested before boarding the Mercy flight in Delhi, except for children.
In the lead up to travel, it's a somewhat distressing process for young children, and we're going to test them in any case when they arrive in Australia.
Remaining guests at the Best Western have all returned negative results. Despite new cases, the Premier isn't cancelling the next Mercy flights.
Compassion is not an optional extra. We have Australians that are in difficulties overseas. In fact, there are more than 100,000 of them.
Compassion shared by the public.
I think we should still be accepting the Mercy flights, as long as we have all the protocols in place, which we have at the Hobart Airport at the moment.
I feel like it's not going to be as hectic as the cruises and everything when Corona first hit.
If we've got the system in place that's keeping them in quarantine and isolated, and we've proven that we can do that well anyway, then I think it's good to have our people back home.
The message for now, stay calm.
The virus is not loose in our community. It's contained in isolation. We will continue to manage this appropriately, professionally, and as I've always said, sensibly and responsibly. Thank you.
Now, Sean, we also learnt more today about the Northwest outbreak, which was back in April.
Yes, that's right, Kim. Well, earlier today, the state government also released the independent report into the Northwest outbreak. It commended the decision to close, or temporarily close rather, the Northwest Private and the Northwest Regional Hospital, despite the headache of patient transfers. But it did highlight the high transmission rate of the virus between health workers. Our reporter Garth Burley was in BURNIE today and filed this report.
132 pages to describe one of Tasmania's darkest periods.
This was the first time in Australia we'd had such an outbreak within a hospital.
A damning report into the COVID-19 outbreak on the Northwest released today.
The independent review has provided 37 recommendations, and the government will support all of these recommendations either fully or in principle.
Spearheaded by Greg Mellick, it uncovered systematic flaws in uncharted pandemic territory, singling out poor IT tracing systems, a lack of internal communication and unreliable supplies of PPE as some of the factors that hindered the explosion of cases.
We've learned a lot of lessons from it, and a lot of the lessons that we've learned will be benefit to other states.
It's likely patient zero was an infected Tasmanian admitted to hospital after returning from the Ruby Princess cruise ship. How the virus spread so quickly is still unclear. However, the report did find some staff did not take the threat of the pandemic as seriously, had fear of retribution, which created lost opportunities to limit transmission risks.
Most of the transmissions in the Northwest Hospital occurred staff to staff.
One recommendation: in a pandemic, all staff should be regularly tested, regardless of symptoms.
The government has nowhere to hide now, but they do have to act with urgency to fix these problems.
The first bold move to stem the outbreak was to close both major hospitals. The second was to plunge the entire region into a 3-week lockdown.
streets are vacant. There's no feeling at all. It's deadness.
No cars, no people walking around. It was like a ghost town.
A decision credited for saving further lives, but disrupting the livelihoods of business owners.
First time having to shut your doors in 23 years was a little bit confronting.
However, the investigation found no evidence of any secret social gatherings between hospital colleagues, which was once suggested by Australia's Chief Medical Officer.
Then we had a cluster of 49 cases in a hospital in Tasmania just over the weekend. Most of them went to an illegal dinner party of medical workers.
The government says the outbreak could have been more catastrophic if not for the cooperation of Northwest residents.
They deserve a lot of credit for the way in which they handle themselves throughout this outbreak.
They'll accept the kudos tonight, but tomorrow want to put the entire saga behind them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what normal will look like eventually, but yeah, just looking forward to getting through it all and getting on with it.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
8 months after it opened, Hobart's drive-through coronavirus testing clinic will move from the waterfront. The large-scale facility will relocate to make way for summer events at Princes Wharf. It will reopen on December 20 in the University of Tasmania car park near the corner of Argyle and Melville Streets. More than 130,000 tests have now been conducted in the state, and anyone with mild symptoms is encouraged to get tested. 34 Tasmanian outlaw bikies have been stripped of their firearm licences and had guns seized. State and federal police targeted members of 6 outlaw motorcycle gangs, possessing a total of 97 firearms.
It is not our intention to make their life any easier, so I would hope that they would second guess their membership of an outlaw motorcycle gang.
Police are promising to continue efforts to put the clubs out of business. Anglicare has called for urgent changes to how Tasmania cares for homeless young people in the event of a second coronavirus outbreak. As part of a new report, the social service said the state needs to be better prepared, highlighting the struggles for unaccompanied children when undertaking quarantine, social distancing, hygiene and testing.
We understand that this has been a crisis that nobody's been through before. There is plenty for all of us to learn, and we have been on the front foot to offer clear advice that these children were missed and now we need to respond.
There are changes that can be made by public health in Tasmania to help children. There are things that can happen that will improve the lives of children in Tasmania.
As part of the research, 24 frontline workers were interviewed from 10 different organisations. 'Tis a season for stealing, with the festive period the most common for shoplifting. Crime Stoppers in Tasmania has released a retail safety guide, hoping to protect businesses who, still reeling from COVID, now face the added burden of retail theft.
The season for giving or a time for taking?
We definitely noticed an increase in shoplifting during the busy Christmas period.
More than a third of all goods shoplifted in Australia are pinched during the festive period, putting small businesses particularly on the back foot.
We don't get insurance when we have sort of loss, so it's about managing the loss and minimising it as much as we can.
We're not silly enough to know that we're going to stop it, but we can provide assistance to Crime Stoppers and to shop owners to make sure that they can deal with it.
Crime Stoppers Tasmania, today releasing a retail safety plan, guiding businesses through the shadiest time of the year.
There's quite a bit in there about how to recognise when somebody is likely to be a shoplifter, how to get an accurate description of a shoplifter or a potential person, things to look out for.
If you've got your plans in place and, like I said, using the retail booklet as well, just to know what you can do to help, even just being, I suppose, prevalent on the floor does help as well.
Retail workers often face abuse at this time of year as stress runs high. This campaign tackles that too.
It's all about keeping calm, so I think that's what the booklet also had, is having that calm approach, not being aggressive with them, knowing that your body language can kind of escalate a situation.
Customers keeping calm at the checkout. That's on every retail worker's wish list. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian game developer is on track to launch a worldwide fly fishing competition where anglers can cast a line from their favourite river or lake. FISHCOIN connects players through a mobile phone app, adding a little rivalry to a day on the water.
FISHCOIN is probably the most Tasmanian game you're likely to see, combining fly fishing, healthy competition, our beautiful lakes, and all dreamt up over a couple of beers.
I've always had this idea of some international competition.
Tasmanian developer Josh Walker is now bringing that idea to life, creating a prototype of the game where players challenge other anglers around the globe.
And now you have a 1 hour fishing competition between each other for the FISHCOIN prize pot.
The bigger the fish, the more points you score.
Whenever you go fishing, people always take a photo of their fish, you know, just to post on social media and stuff like that. Now we want to add value to that fish.
While the angling community is giving the game the thumbs up, it needs financial backing to complete the rollout. Walker is seeking investors so the game can launch in August next year. Until now, it's been a project born out of passion for an angler who grew up going to the Central Highlands with his dad.
I just loved it from there on, and I really love going up into the Western Lakes as well, going for a bit of a hike. But Tassie's got some amazing trout fisheries.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Blonde, blue and now bald for the Tasmanian Eye Institute's new world-class research centre. Beating his fundraising target of $50,000 by 11 grand, Professor Brendan Vogt shaved off his electric blue hair.
I've just been overwhelmed with the generosity of the community, of patients, of friends, of supporters. It's just been amazing.
The funds will go towards gene editing technology, which could allow for reversing blindness in some cases.
Genetic diseases can come on at any time throughout life, and vision's one of the most important senses we've got, and so it's just so critical for our connection with community.
The centre, located in Lenna Valley, is currently in the construction phase, to be finished mid-next year. Around 100 protesters have gathered, demanding greater protections for the endangered swift parrot. It comes after a recent study revealed as few as 300 of the birds are left in the wild, down from around 1,000 breeding pairs a decade ago. Activists are now calling for logging near their habitats to end.
What we're now seeing is extinction right in front of our eyes. This is faster and more dramatic than the extinction of the Tasmanian tiger.
But the Forest Products Association says it's working to ensure nesting and foraging habitats are retained and that Tasmania has some of the world's most stringent environmental protections.
Peter Hanscom has been named captain of the Hobart Hurricanes in Matthew Wade's absence, ahead of tomorrow night's season opener against the Sydney Sixers. This morning, James Faulkner and Jordan Silk helped celebrate the competition's 10th birthday. Faulkner has been named in the Hurricanes squad alongside 6 new faces, including Tim David and Colin Ingram.
It's really good depth in the squad. There's a couple of new faces I haven't seen at all play, so yesterday was a little bit different, but yeah, there's a lot of talent.
The Sixers are missing a few of their stars due to national commitments, but Silk says that opens the door for others.
There's a chance for other guys to step up, so I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys do and what they bring to our team.
And if you can't make it to tomorrow night's game, we'll have it here on 7 Tasmania. The Tasmania Jack Jumpers have named their inaugural board. NBL owner Larry Kesselman will act as chair on an interim basis, while members include the Tasmanian Hospitality Association Steve Old, Tasmania General Manager of News Corp Damon Wise, Launceston Councillor Janie Finlay, Communications Consultant Karen Nylander, Tasmanian Chamber of Commerce and Industry CEO Michael Bailey and Scott Harris, CEO of the Beacon Foundation. The board will hold its first meeting in Tasmania next week. And interstate raiders are being tipped to take out this year's Hobart 1000, Tasmania's only Group 1 race. A dashing dog from Victoria, which smashed a long-standing record earlier this year, is among those being heavily backed to take the trophy.
These hot dogs are vying for a place in history. The Hobart 1000 remains one of the country's most prestigious races, with trainers from across Australia keen to add it to their collection.
I trained on the mainland for about 12 months and most trainers over there would just love to come down and win a Hobart 1000.
A number of greyhounds have made the trip south to take on Tasmania's best. Experts predicting this year's trophy will end up on the other side of Bass Strait.
Just the way the draw has come out, like I think the interstate dogs have got a big chance to get through.
I just don't think they're as strong as what they were, the older dogs, but the younger ones, definitely, they're on the way up.
Stephen's hope is Power of Oscar, which smashed the Warragul track record earlier this year. It's also won 4 of its last 5 races, with the Elwick track expected to help.
In Victoria we have a lot of one-turn tracks, But I just thought that with the big long run to the first corner, it might be just a little bit better than going to staying at home for the Ballarat.
More than 50 dogs will take to the track here tomorrow night for the heats, with the winners plus the fastest second-place greyhound advancing to the final. They'll return here again next Thursday, racing for this trophy and a winner's cheque worth a cool $75,000.
It's a really huge honour, and I know we've worked for a number of years to keep the prestige and the Group 1 rating of this race.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Fine and mostly sunny over the north and east today. St Helens our high with 26, Hobart 23 today, Launceston 22, Burnie 21, Devonport 18 degrees. Cloudy over the west and far south, keeping temperatures there a little cooler. Friendly Beaches reach 24, Bushy Park 23 and Grove 21, Flinders Island and Low Head 18, King Island 17, Layaweenie and Strawn 16. Now, as mentioned, mostly clear over the east and north, a couple of showers over the west in the cumulus cloud that gathered there today. A frontal band of cloud sits to the west and south of the state with cold cellular air following. A tropical low has cloud over central and northern areas of the nation. Some instability is evident too over the Queensland coast. Tomorrow the high moves south of the Bight as the cold front crosses Tasmania early in the day. A trough is over eastern Australia and a complex low off the far northwest of the nation. Winds west-southwesterly reaching 30 knots over the south and east. Southwest and northwest winds later over the north. Swells to 4 metres in western and southern waters. So a bit blowy. A strong wind warning from Cape Portland to Low Rocky Point has been issued, and also from Sandy Cape to Stanley. Tomorrow, Hobart 17 and cloudy, 15 the top for Cygnet and 16 degrees in New Norfolk. Bit of a drop on today's temperatures, 20 in Launceston and partly cloudy, 19 for Devonport, partly cloudy for Campbelltown, 17 the top. 19 the high for Burnie, partly cloudy, bit of cloud for Strawn, 15 the maximum, 18 for Smithton. St Helens, 18 degrees, Swansea 17, Fingal partly cloudy and 17 as well. UV still on 10 for tomorrow and very high with 15 hours and 10 minutes between sunrise and sunset. On Friday, fine apart from morning showers over the southwest. A fine day on Saturday, Launceston 26 degrees and warming up a little on Sunday. On Sunday, Hobart expecting a top of 27. A possible storm for Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy in Adelaide, a morning shower for Melbourne, a few showers in Canberra and Sydney, partly cloudy in Brisbane and 29. Partly cloudy, Hobart 19, 19 right now in Launceston as well and 17 degrees in Devonport. That's it for the weather, Kim. I'll leave it to you to bring it all home.
Thank you very much. And to wrap up tonight's bulletin, a family has had a trip to the beach they'll never forget. A fur seal deciding to spend some time on the sand and soak up the sun in front of some star-struck children. The video was taken in beautiful weather at Binalong Bay. And that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.